Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattle Tarot. It's Georgie. And on the table today, I have the Knights Templar Tarot. And we are going to be looking at Queen Victoria's eldest grandson, Wilhelm II. So yes, he became Kaiser Wilhelm, and he was born in 1859. He was born to Victoria's oldest daughter, Vicky, and it was her firstborn. She'd only been married for a short while before she fell pregnant. And her first son had a very traumatic birth. And I want to look just at Kaiser Wilhelm II's birth and early childhood. And I'm going to do a Celtic cross for this man. Very unpleasant, very unhappy man, hated England, hated the British. It's all fed into the First World War and everything. But I want to look at his life, his childhood. Okay, so we're not going up to the First World War. We're not going any further than just his childhood, the birth and childhood. So we're doing this for Wilhelm II, born in 1859. So let's have a look at this traumatic childhood and traumatic birth. I'm going to pull a Celtic cross and then we'll talk about all the positions. Okay, so let's start right at the very beginning here. The whole energy around Kaiser Wilhelm. We've got the Five of Swords. This is a man who had to fight his whole life, not just against other people, but just fight. He fought when he was born. He was brought into the world. It was a fight. And I think his whole life was spent justifying himself, fighting. Five of Swords is very much, I'm going to win at any cost. And I think his upbringing gave him this kind of Five of Swords energy. I'm going to put myself forward because you're not going to trample on me. And he had a very arrogant way of being and a very cruel way of being. And the Five of Swords is quite a cruel card. But as we go through this, it might sort of become apparent of why this man was as he was. So what crossed that? What crossed that? And we have the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups. This is, I'm not interested. Don't approach me with that. I'm not interested. Wilhelm was born breech, and they had to use forceps to get him out. And because of that, his brachial plexus, which is sort of the shoulder and that whole area, there's like a nerve that runs through it. And this brachial area was basically ruined, and it affected the nerve. Didn't affect it, it just killed the nerve in his arm, and it was his left arm. And as he was being pulled out by the forceps, this basically disabled his left arm. And he had so many treatments through his life. And I see this as, no, I don't want this. I don't want what you're bringing me, because some of these treatments were barbaric. All of the treatments were barbaric. And, this is him refusing. No, Four of Cups, something being offered to you. I don't want this. I don't want this. But of course, as a child, he wasn't able to refuse it. He had to have it. So things were being forced onto him that he really didn't want. So in the top here, we have the Five of Pentacles, the outcast child. And I think that throughout certainly his childhood, he was looked on as the disabled child. And this was something that no royalty wanted to have a child with a disability. It was shameful, and it was something to be hidden and something to be, as I say, ashamed of. And his mother, Vicky, was very much ashamed of this fact that this arm was paralyzed. And I think with this Five of Pentacles, this is the person that's shunned. This is the person that doesn't belong. So this child would have felt less than his cousins, less than the other children that Vicky went on to have. And she was always trying to fix him. And here you go, here is this one here, trying to fix him, not offering, but putting upon him different treatments, which he didn't want. So, yes. And then at the bottom of it all, death. I would have thought that when he was born, it was a very touch and go situation. This child is breech. They didn't do cesareans. Typically, cesareans have been done, but the actual survival rate would be terrible. And, you wouldn't put royalty through a cesarean. So, I think they were both very close to losing their lives. And this underpins it, how serious this was to have this child coming through breech. And, needing to get this child born. So I think death does mean death in that it was very close. But I also think death here is the mother, Vicky, sort of wanting her son to move on and become this phoenix. We've got this injury. She would see it as an injury. It was a disability, a permanent one. But this can be fixed. And from this sort of child having this trouble, this problem, which she would see it as a problem, we can do medical interventions and this child death will birth into something different, will become whole. This withered arm will become whole. And I think this was always at the bottom of everything. We can repair this bad situation. It can come round and grow, and, we'll have a phoenix rising out of the ashes. He'll be able to use this arm and it all will be good. So that was at the bottom of it. The actual fact that they both nearly died during the birth, but also this death of, yes, we can rebuild this, we can renew it. And all the time in the top of the head is this child being very ostracized because of this disability. So I think that his childhood was all work. Seven of Pentacles is that work card, and it's hard work. It's toiling at something. And I think that this Seven of Pentacles is very much all the, well, we would call it physiotherapy if it was kind and it was now, but it wasn't now. It was back then. The things that they did, they wrapped this shoulder in dead hairs. They go kill a hare, wrap the shoulder in it so that the heat from the blood and the heat of this very recently dead animal would warm it. Which, how horrendous for a child to go through that. That must have been terrifying. As he's crawling, they would put the hand behind his back, his left hand behind his back, and tie it. Sorry, his right hand, his good hand, they put it behind his back so that he had to try and use his left, which of course it was totally paralyzed, so he couldn't. So Seven of Pentacles is a work. He's trying to work. People are working on him. And I think that this was a daily thing. Electrotherapy, trying to put electrical impulses through this limb to make it work. Toil every day, and this is what his life was like. And not only was the work very hard, the work was very painful. And this was his life growing up. Hard, bloody work, trying to, have these people working on him to make this arm, which would never work, trying to force it to work. And then, their message is, oh, he's fine. He's absolutely fine. And we'll hide this disability. We'll hide it. So the message goes out, oh, perfectly fine, our son, all is good, all is glossy, all is well. Message going out, Wilhelm II, what a lovely little boy. Of course he was a lovely little boy, but he had this disability which would never, ever go away. But they used the message out by hiding it. And they hid it so that when he was photographed, he always had his left side turned from the camera. He would have his left hand placed in his pocket. So the message that went out to him as a child was, this is something to be ashamed of, and this is something you should be embarrassed of. And his parents were certainly embarrassed by it, especially his mother, very embarrassed by it. So this message was going out to him as a young child. You know, this is shameful, actually dreadful. And then we have, or coming up the outside, we have the lovers in reverse. He hated his mother because of this, you know, because of what she was doing, because of the torturous treatment that he was being dished out. He detested his mother. He probably feared her, but he was also very, very resentful of all these treatments that she thrust on him, made him have. So lovers in reverse, this isn't a union card. It's not a choice. He had no choice in it. You know, the lovers this way round, this could be seen as a mother and son and the choices that they make to, you know, jointly to sort this injury out, you know. But no, this is being imposed on him. He had no choice. And the lovers in reverse, he did not love his mother. He hated his mother for what she'd done. So we come up further on the outside and we have here 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Your 10 of Pentacles is like your typical sort of royal family cards, the wealth, the power of the royal family. It didn't matter how much money they had, how much power they had, who they could employ to be a doctor for this boy's arm. Nothing worked. Didn't matter. You could throw as much money at it as you like. You could be the richest person in the world, the most important person in the world. None of that mattered. This arm was damaged, and the nerve that fed the arm was dead. There was nothing that could be done. So, you know, what does universe say? We've got the 9 of Pentacles. The 9 of Pentacles is very much, you know, I see this as the mother, the 9 of Pentacles, the right way up. You know, she was a powerful woman, Victoria's eldest daughter, 9 of Pentacles, you know, standing there, very gracious, beautiful woman with this firstborn child. 9 of Pentacles, that's a powerful card. That's someone who's very strong and very head held high, standing in her own strength. Well, it wasn't like that at all. And I think the universe saw that his mother, she was distraught by this. She wasn't a confident woman. She felt like she had failed in her duty as pre-empress energy, this, you know, the woman who has it all. Well, she felt that she had absolutely failed as a mother, failed as this pre-empress, this 9 of Pentacles. This should be the woman who stands with her head held high and look what I've achieved and look what I've done. Well, she just felt like hiding over this, and she made her son, you know, hide his injury, his disability. And at the top here, we have the Page of Cups in reverse. So the Page of Cups, that's a very loving card. You know, if your son was the Page of Cups, he'd be a very loving little boy, and mother and son would be very close, a very caring little boy. Just a lovely, lovely energy. We have this in reverse. This poor child, he'd basically been tortured by the doctors, you know, tortured by the fact that he was less than, you know, oh, well, hide that arm, stand sideways, don't let anybody see it. And the Page of Pentacles in reverse, sorry, Page of Cups in reverse. Cups are emotions. This is a very emotionally unstable little boy. It's a dreadful card. You know, a child should not be having this, but look at what he'd gone through. So I just want to pull some other cards about this. He hated England and the English because when he was born, it was English doctors that delivered him. It was an English like medical team that delivered him and used this terrible brute force to get him out into the world. So he hated England and the English. 6 of Cups in reverse. Let's have another one. Yeah. Your 6 of Cups in reverse. this is your nostalgia card, you know, remembering back to your childhood, remembering back the happy childhood. Well, no, it wasn't, was it? He was having these daily punishing, harsh, brutal treatments, you know, work, hard work, painful work on his arm. There was no looking back at a happy childhood, because there was no happy childhood at all. Here, this is the boy who doesn't belong, the outcast boy. And then here we have the Three of Cups, again in reverse. Three of Cups is this joyful, working together, you know, card. Well, he never could work with anyone together because things were being forced on him. You know, it was just never good unions for him. The doctors around him weren't working, you know, for him. He seemed like everything was against him. And this sort of joyful card, well, there was no joy. I believe that he said something very telling about England. He said something about one man cannot have enough hatred for England. So let's just go right to the center of this, right to the center of it. Let's see if we can get, you know, just some energy on Kaiser Wilhelm II as a child. Let's see what else we've got here. The Sun and the Ace of Cups. Yeah, I think, you know, you always think of the Sun. The Sun is a baby card. This baby came into the world. Very much focused, and for the first few days of his life, probably about the first week, nobody really realized anything was wrong. And I don't think it was till one of the nannies sort of saw how this arm would just fall, and just, you know, the left arm would just fall to his side, that she sort of alerted people and said there's something wrong here. But, you know, the attention was there. This beautiful mother, Vicky, Queen Victoria's daughter, had, you know, a healthy son. You know, for the Kaiser, absolutely brilliant, wonderful. But Ace of Cups, you know, the emotion, once it was discovered that this boy was less than 100%, as I say, it's a shame of it. And what an awful burden for this boy. And the Ace of Cups, all that emotion, you know, bad emotion, sad emotion. And it followed him through life. I don't know much about the First World War, but I know he was instrumental in it, and he hated the UK. Is it any wonder, really? I think he was a particularly horrible man, but when you look at what he went through as a small boy, and throughout his life, always hiding this, always being ashamed, I think some of his personality can definitely be attributed to this awful situation. Let me know what you think. I'm not a historian, so I don't have all the facts and figures and information, but I know that you're pretty wonderful with all this. So if you can tell me a little bit more about Kaiser Wilhelm II and about this, you know, this nerve damage, or this, it wasn't even damage, it was just the nerve was totally ruined, you know, no feeling to this arm at all, no use to it at all. If you can tell me anything more, I'd love to hear it. But until next time, thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.